Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. It's time to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome in to Object Catch-Up, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them, whether they are new or old, famous or unknown. It doesn't matter, we will get to it all. Now, yesterday we finally wrapped up the requests, the revelations. It took a day more than I was expecting it to. I had to divide that split that still water section into another video because it was just going to be too long. I mean, if you combine it with the other video, that would have made like a 5 hour and a half, I think, long video, which would have just been a little bit excessive. So we're finally done with that, and I also was pretty happy with just doing a quick 1 hour video rather than a quick 1 hour, doing a relatively shorter length catch-up video rather than doing another massive one. But today we will be going back to the creators, which we have already covered in this series before. This channels that we're subscribed to, as we say, that we're following the shows up because there's been a bunch of new releases, and of course I want to. First of all, like while getting to new shows is one of the most important things, we also have to keep up with the shows. While we have an object catch up, it is also equally as much an object keep up, because it's the point of watching a show and then never watching the future episodes. Like, you gotta watch everything that a guy releases. So we are gonna be starting off here with a show created by Miles or cherryboolm is a creator that we've covered a couple of weeks ago because they created Hotel Object, which you took a look at episodes 1 to 7a. I already have another show which released episode 14 11 days ago. I was quite far behind to this one because last time we did a request video, not a request video, we did a video discussing the previous releases. This wasn't a part of it because I skipped it because it had 14 episodes. However, we'll get to it eventually. So this is that eventually. The show is called Trap with 2 exclamation marks. We're going to be starting off here with episode 1 called I Wanna Get Knockoff. Let's go. It's 1 year ago, by the way. Alright, let's go. Alright, so I just watched Trap 1. I Wanna Get Knockoff. So, it's quite, I'm gonna be honest, that was very fast paced, kind of confusing. We are suffering a little bit, I think, from the black and white aesthetic here, because a bunch of these characters, they're relatively half complex designs. Their coloring is a little bit complicated, but I've mostly understood what they are. So we're having a show here hosted by Tayu. Tayu, which immediately is giving me parallels with Object Ascension, which I watched, or ODA, because that show is hosted by Izumi, and that's a very similar little name. So I'm immediately getting that parallel. But then we have our cast, an intro that plays a bit too fast to properly understand who everyone is. However, the challenge is a balance beam challenge, pretty much. Don't get knocked off. The first few people that get knocked off are up for elimination. Chef Hat Fella ends up getting knocked off immediately. Or what are you? A smoke pot? Yeah, I think a smoke pot ends up getting up for elimination after just wanting to get knocked off. For some reason, it's don't get knocked off instead of knocked off because I don't know to be honest. But yeah, then Belt apparently tries fighting back against the bag. However, they both end up falling because Belt just gets like snapped in twain by nothing, by air. So don't really understand that, to be honest. And meanwhile, Knife manages to turn people into IRL, both Umbrella and the carpet mat, so they get absolutely cooked. And that means that everybody else is around and alive. It's a vote to save, which is interesting considering, of course, we have such little information on any of these characters. But my initial prediction, probably for elimination, would be the smoke pot, because they seem to be the one to have not really tried. They wanted to lose, so I don't think voters like that, but we'll have to see. In episode 2, well, you should be aware. Alright, that was episode 2 of Trap. I like the freaking emergency alert at the end, bro. Anyways, so this episode we end up having, well, first our elimination, our intro. I swear to God, there's another friggin' thing that has this intro. I know that there's another intro that has this exact song. I don't remember which one off the top of my head right now, but I've definitely heard this song from something else, so. Probably not an original intro, but we'll have to. I don't remember. I just truly cannot tell you right now. I'm trying to remember. It's what would it what where have I heard this song? I don't know. I proper don't know. Anyways, it turns out that the eliminated contestant is Baggy, which makes sense actually. Baggy is the one who tried to throw down Belt before failing and also succeeding at the same time. So they got kind of cooked. So it makes sense for them to be eliminated. I kind of forgot about that happening when I was originally considering my prediction, but that makes perfect sense. And then our challenge is to not drown. The interesting thing about these challenges is that they're not first to succeed, like a lot of challenges are. Like, oh, first to get up wins. No, this is last to survive. Like, it's a first to lose, basically, right? It's like a survival challenge, and it's like the first 4 people to fail are up for Elim, rather than the last 4 people to succeed are up for Elim, which makes for an interesting little, I guess, twist on the usual. And it ends up that the eliminated contestants are Belt, Fishbowl, Bread, and Pot Planet. Um, uh, and yet again, we're in a vote to save system. Belt kind of struggled the other time. While the other fellas are all new to the elimination lounge. I think Fishbowl probably survives because they got bullied by the pot plant. I think pot plant probably survive. What does or pot plant? Do they survive or do they get eliminated? I don't really know. This challenge is kind of complicated. It's kind of difficult with these like vote to save systems with a short object should figure out who's going to be eliminated or not. I'm going to say Pot Planet, but I don't really know. Currently, these challenges, I am sort of enjoying them, to be honest. They're working out fine because, like, we're getting a decent amount of screen time on the characters who fail because they're the ones who are failing, right? Comparatively speaking to others, and the character that succeed, they're just succeeding, you know. But I do like also how they're using the object nets, like the fishbowl floating, or the bread immediately sinking, or the carpet floating above the water, just kind of chilling. Like we're using the objectness of the objects pretty solidly. Let's keep moving. Trap 3, go fight them instead. Hey, yo, all right, welcome in to episode 3 of Trap. So, this one's ultra mini, but yet again, the challenges being used in the show are all very consistent to each other. I'm surprised because a lot of these ultra short shows just kind of have ultra random challenges. This is different. This is like very consistently themed challenges in the sense that they are first to fail goes up for Elim. Like it's different than the usual. There's no way to be safe. You just have to be the last one and not safe, which I think is interesting that we are doing that 100% of the time. So far, 3 out of 3 episodes had a challenge like that, which honestly, hey, look, it gives the show a little bit of its own unique vibe, which is nice. 0 people voted for Pot Planet to survive, which is crazy. 0, not even uno. That's crazy, bro. Challenge is to survive from the pixel monster that as soon as they see anybody, they die. The smoke pot and TNT just get immediately caught. Knife is like, oh, I'm gonna fight you, haha, and then they immediately proceed to die. Meanwhile, the carpet is like, no, we gotta run, but then unfortunately it's too late. They already found them. Which means that these 4 are there in record amounts of speed. Like, genuinely, the episode went by so fast. Who's getting saved? I'd predict TNT probably gets eliminated because they haven't really done anything in the other episodes. But they not only haven't done anything in the other episodes, they're not that interesting, and I don't see why they would get the pity. So I'm gonna say TNT gets eliminated. But Knife, I guess, has a chance because they were technically more stupid. We'll have to see. All right, let's keep it moving. Heading into episode 4. None of y'all don't know y'all colors. So true. Hello, it's episode 4 of Trap. Evil takeover, evil Tayu takeover, because why, I don't know, but they are red and evil now. I do enjoy the intro having itself swapped out with the evil variant. I always enjoy when an intro is adapted to the current situation, so I am gonna give it a shout out. Meanwhile, the elimination, we end up meaning that the carpet is out with not too many votes. Meanwhile, the rest of them ended up being safe. The voting count, I don't even know, 3 votes, but then also eliminated with 2. So they're like out of order. So, yeah, fair enough. Challenge is to guess my fate. Okay, so this is the first challenge that officially isn't following the theme, which makes sense to be fair. We are being hosted by the evil variant. Um, so this challenge is the first one that doesn't follow the structure of the other challenges, which is to play like first to lose is up for Elam. And this one, it is first to get it correct. So the challenge is to guess their favorite color, which is a blue, yellow, and also some color in reverse. Oh, because I can't hear what Belt's saying. Belt is speaking in reverse. As usual, personally, I think when a character is speaking in reverse, you gotta subtitle it. I mean, like, I understand that it's funny, but, like, YouTube doesn't have a reverse feature. If YouTube had a reverse feature, I'd go like, yeah, but YouTube never added that, surprisingly enough, in the years of its existence. So, the only way for me to hear what you're saying is to freaking grab the video and reverse it, which is so much effort that it's like, nah. You just gotta have a caption on it, you know? That means that the rest of them are up for Elam. You see, not great, because the others didn't really get to do that much. Like, Bread didn't do shit. Fishbowl really didn't do much. They died at the end of the post-credit scene, so they'll probably be safe. I'm expecting the person who got it wrong, so probably Smoke Pod to get eliminated. That's my prediction, but we'll have to see. Now, heading into the next episode, it is titled Oh Look, episode 5. Let's go. Also, it seems like the host is the regular host going to be back because in the post credit scene, the evil fella meets the normal one and said, No! So, I guess, too bad. This was released on November 5th, so maybe it was like Halloween. Alright, let's go. Alright, that is episode 5 of Trap. Oh, look. Alright, so, this episode feels a little bit random. It feels a little bit like it's had a bit of time between it, because, like, the microphone for, especially the elimination ceremony ends up being quite different. And eventually Smokepot gets eliminated with 1 vote, which it's interesting how many votes this has, because I feel like this has been one of the most fluctuating just like vote numbers I've seen. Like, how many does this have? It's usually been between like 12 and 20 or something, but it really depends, because then someone individually got like 12 or 9 votes like the other time. Like the vote to saves have been quite one-sided. But yeah, goodbye, Smoke Paul. Finally, I got one of these right. I wasn't doing great with predictions here. Then the challenge is to make a piano sound. First 3 people to make a piano sound are safe. You see, this is the type of challenge I'm not a big fan of because it's kind of random, right? Like the characters that are safe don't have any warranting to them being safe. There's nothing prior that would suggest that they can make a piano sound with their mouth, but they just can now. And that means that they're gonna be safe, despite the fact that it's not like you pretty much it's that type of challenge where you choose who gets who goes safe without like any means to stop it. It's like, yo, they couldn't do that. Why not? Do you know? Right? So it's like it's one of those. So I'm not a big fan of that because it feels like the more like style of scripted challenge is not really that fun because it's just like, oh, okay, I guess this one can do it, but not the other one. It's like, bro. Um, uh, and it is in fact another challenge that is first one to do is safe rather than first one to lose is up for Elam, which means that we have officially lost the little consistency that we had here for the first 3 episodes. The characters up for Elam end up being Fishbowl, Belt, and to TNT. Who's getting eliminated? Probably the Belt. I think that would be my prediction. I like how the Belt's like extended here. and then the others are just grabbing onto it. But yeah, I guess we'll have to find out in episode 6. Episode 6 is called I Don't Know About Y'all, but it's the third time we've had a y'all in one of these titles. Let's go. Ayo, okay. I have officially watched Trap 6. So we have our elimination. See what I mean? The elimination count is so random. So first of all, Speaker Box is hosting because Azum is for some reason like at home. So I guess that's something. But like you see, the elimination count is how many votes? It's a good number. Yeah, 46. When the other time it was like I don't know, like 12. Like you see, I don't know. These numbers are kind of weird. And then like the amount of total votes from the overtime is the same as Belt gets here at 24, which by the way is way more than I was expecting. I got that dead wrong. Like 17 votes for TNT, and eventually Fishbowl gets eliminated, but like with 5, which is such a low number, because like I mean, out of that total, 5 is like pretty low, like so many for Belt. Like these are not very split votes, which kind of surprised me because the show's so short. So I'm not really understanding the voting pattern here very well. To be honest, it's kind of striking me as a little bit random, but all right. Challenge is to enter or break into the haunted house that our host is currently sleeping in, which Tayu is currently sleeping in, so that we can wake him up and we can do a challenge. Knife does the classic thing that Knife does every episode, which is go like, "I'm gonna do it," and then proceeds to fail miserably. Then the other fellas, the bread is just tired of the show. Umbrella is like, hee hee, I don't want to lose the challenge, and they get shot. To be fair, Umbrella has managed to coast along like a lot. To be honest, like it's been a good while since Umbrella's been up for elimination. Umbrella is interesting because they're like the bottle archetype of character, you know? Like they're kind of like Bottle from BFDI, but at the same time they're just sort of just not that like different in a way. Like they're just interesting while still doing well because Bottle doesn't do that well in challenges, but Umbrella's managing to coast by. Anyways, TNT eventually blows up the house, which means that TNT is up for elimination because technically the one who threw was Bread. So yeah. Tayu isn't too happy about this, but I guess we'll have to wake up eventually. Who's getting eliminated? Maybe Knife. Knife. No, let's say Knife, because otherwise I kind of just don't know. Let's see. Let's see, because we're heading into episode 7, Demonophobia Nightmare. Alright, I just watched Trap 7, and no, I'm getting absolutely destroyed by these votes. What is going on with this voting? These votes are weird. I don't know, they're just something off about it. 53 votes, over half of them go to Knife, while Umbrella gets 4, while TNT and Bell, I think, gets 6 and 7. That's such a split, Like, it's so weird. Like, that feels like too much, That feels like like, it's beyond reasonably makes sense, you know? Like, that is kind of crazy. I guess some of these characters are just a fan favorite because, like, I cannot really explain this, like, degree of voting percentages, like, being so unbelievably skewed. Like, it probably, if you put it on a pie chart, it's like 10% everybody else, like 60% nice. Like, it's crazy. I don't, like, and even in the last episode, I had these, so I'm kind of sure by these numbers. Oh, sorry. I'm kind of shook by these numbers. Anyways, challenges to defeat your evil clone. You know what? I like the challenge because everybody gets to go. And also, evil clones. That's a thing that exists in this show. Like, in the show's universe, we have established that there are evil clones, just how evil Tayu. And since we had the evil Tayu, we can have evil of the contestants. That makes perfect sense. Knife gets absolutely destroyed by the clone. That always happens. The TNT ends up just exploding their fella, which I guess would get rid of both of them, but hey, you did defeat them. At what cost? The belt just gets absolutely destroyed by their clone, which speaks in text. I really was hoping that they were gonna speak like normally, and that's like the evil variant. Like, oh shit, you can't speak normally, but now they speak in text boxes, which is fun. I mean, well, Bread just eats their clone. Sure, I guess you could do that. Knife and Bell are the only two up for Elam. No idea who's getting eliminated. I mean, at this point, the knife bias is so high that I'm just going to predict that they're safe and Bell gets out, but I have no idea. In the meantime, Brett builds a house. Episode 8 time. Is this thing indestructible? Let's go. Alright, that is trap 8. Nah, I'm telling you, bro. What if 68 to what to 4? But we fought 68 to 5. There is no way. How is that possible? That's insanity. That's genuinely just insanity. I feel like you don't get a percentage that high, like, when you're trying. Like, what is that? 68 to 5? That is crazy. Wait, nah, that's like, actually, that is genuinely unbelievable. Nah, okay, well, whatever. Challenge ends up being to eliminate the evil red square that is red and is apparently the hater of Christmas, because anything evil in this series is a square. Bread tries. Well, Bread actually in this case takes knife spot of haha. Not Bread. TNT. TNT just takes knife spot of haha. I'm gonna go up to it and die. Knife actually manages to just freaking gun it out and eventually defeat them, meaning that hey, Knife getting stronger. Nah, I just think the Christmas hater is kind of weak. I can't even lie. They got nothing on the monster. The red circle, no, the red circle, the red square got nothing on the black square. I'm telling you, bro. Black square way stronger. Which means that they are Bread and the TNT are up for elimination. No idea what the votes are at this point. Votes seem to be like votes are batshit insane. Like, what the hell is going on with the knife? So like, I don't trust anything that's going on here. Then we have a bunch of rejoiners, a Metro card, which is pretty cool. I like card. Card is kind of goofy. It's such an easy character to draw, but it's kind of fun. The bag of chips where they're getting the chips within them eaten is kind of fun. We got orangey and stuff. I would probably hope for either cart or chips because they're the most interesting ones. However, the other fellas, they exist too, to be honest. But yeah, at least there isn't like a insane amount of character rejoin. All right, that like there was the other time. There's still quite a bunch because I'm saying the other time. Like there are in other shows where sometimes I get to see like 30 characters. And this, I mean, there's still too many to the case where they don't fit in the voting screen. They have to flicker between them. But like it's pretty cool to be honest. I hope Cart joins because Cart kind of it gives me those silly vibes that the show's lacking when like Knife is the fan favorite. Like what the hell? um Knife even destroys Bread with their ears. Like, what is not Knife? What are y'all doing? I'm getting a little bit confused at how there's 14 episodes of this show. I'm like, hold up. I'm a bit I'm not sure what's happening around here. I guess we'll have to find out. Let's head to episode 9. You're going down. Alright, I just watched Trap 9. They say bullshit. I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, sure, maybe people just really like a knife, okay? Maybe people just like knife. Maybe people just voting for knife. Everything's good. Everything's Gucci. What? You telling me that the one episode knife isn't up for voting? We go from 60. How many votes were there in the overtime? Freaking a stupid number. There were like 73 votes. We go from 73 votes to 19. What? That's not fair. Especially if you consider that episode 7 had how hold on. Episode 7 has like less views, I think, than like this episode, which means that less people overall had the chance to see it and be able to vote for it. This is crazy. Like, who? I don't know. Oh, I don't know what the hell is going on. It must be a form that you can just vote on multiple times. Somebody was just like, "Yup, ha ha ha! I am knife fan 3000. I must save knife. I'm gonna vote for it 50 times." Like, what the fuck? That's insane. What? Oh, whatever. Okay, so knife is absolutely cheating. Anyways, out of the by the way, I don't even know what's going on with the votes in this episode. 18, but it's 18 divided by 2, making 9 for the elimination and 9 for the rejoin. What does that mean? Can't you just have votes from both? Why can't you can't have 18 on both? It's got to be split into 9 and 9. What the? I'm so confused, bro. I am actually lost. Anyways, the card and Chips end up being the final two, and Chips end up rejoining with 3 votes. So good job, Chips. You end up making it to the lounge. Deserved that they had one of the funniest bits in the rejoin video. Card, I think, also had it. So yeah, we'll go with Chips. I think the viewers understand what's going on. Mino eliminated was. Bread. Bread is the one who gets eliminated, which means that our final 3 ends up being Knife, of course. Chips, which of course just rejoined it, and TNT, which is a pretty random final 3. I mean, at this point, as soon as at this point, you know, we have live discovered that we're cheating. That freaking Knife voters are hacking, so it's not exactly working. Either way, Knife doesn't even need to hack this time because they end up being safe because TNT just freaking sabotages both the Chips and themselves, demolishes them both. TNT's having this very interesting way of like dealing with challenges where they're never safe because they just end up just boom, and then they end up freaking dying. The only time that worked was like the challenge about beating the clone, right? Because the challenge about being the clone, it was all good. No, because like yeah, you're supposed to be the clone, explode the clone. No, that's what you can do. Therefore, go do that. However, like now it just becomes a little bit like, hold on, what's happening? But then that knife ends up being safer and eats one of the chips that apparently is so spicy it makes you run at high speeds. Which means that they are eventually capable of getting up onto the balance beam from episode 1, which I do like the fact that it returns, to be fair. I am an enjoyer of it returning for sure, because you know it's just kind of cool. Then we have a vote to say between our fellow contestant and TNT. My prediction is that TNT is gonna go, but at this point I don't know what to really say about the voting. The voting of this show, I'm not a fan of it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of what's going on. Something is getting cheated, whether it's this or that or whatever. Something is cheating. Knife is just obviously going to win at the rate that we are currently looking at stuff, you know, just the way that we're looking at it, which means that it's like, yeah, I don't know. Next up, episode 10. You're supposed to give him motivation. That's what. Bro, what is happening to the show? Okay, that's trap 10. What? Okay, so the contestant count has gone like -4. Like no, like not negative, like a +4. Like the contestant count has increased significantly. Okay, so what's happening is that freaking the host here, all right, is I haven't heard tell you. I haven't has been like tired or something. Their finger hurts, which means that eventually like stuff's slipping. You know, from the elimination line, stuff is slipping, which means that the bag is back, and then eventually also coming back are the mat carpet and the other thing that I don't remember that wasn't very I didn't really care about. But they rejoin, making a triple, I think, rejoin, while Knife and TNT keep up doing their thing. Okay, so they're doing that. I think it's Smoke Pause is the other one. So that's happening. They eventually win, which means that they get immunity to the final 5. These mobile here. Okay, sure. So now there's the 2 who survived because Chips got eliminated with a total of 40 votes. I'm sorry, these votes are completely bullshit. I'm not even gonna pay attention to them. So they get out. So that means that there's 2, 3 join, and then there's gonna be another. Then from all the freaking debutantes, we don't get to see the video of them again. We just get to see the list. So then one of them is gonna possibly rejoin. No, not rejoin. Possibly join for the first time debut. So there's a new debutant because their current debutant got eliminated. Picard got the most votes last time, but it was like tied with 2, so I generally have no idea. Yet again, these votes are bullshit. Like, I genuinely have no idea who's gonna vote. Like, it's my opinion, random chance is a better chance of predicting than me right now. But like, what the hell? Okay. So this show has gone from final 2 to final 6 in the next episode. That's so crazy. All right then. If that's what we were gonna do, and that's what we're gonna do, man. There's no challenge, there's no nothing. I mean, I don't necessarily mind the concept of having the characters like slip out of the elimination rounds. Like, sure, if that can be a concept, that can be true, that can be honest, that can be whatever it is. However, like, the fact that there's not at all any resistance to be like, oh, yo, you want to rejoin by being eliminated for no reason? Okay, sure, why not? Like, it's that type of thing where it's like, wait, what? Like, shouldn't there be like a little bit of resistance? Like, you've eliminated the contestant, they've just technically denied you. They've disobeyed the show. So it's like, bro, you're just good with that? Whatever. Chop 11. It's titled Trying to Concentrate. Let's go. I just watched Trap 11. Nah. This show, okay. So this show's fun. I like what's going on. The skits, like, they make sense within the universe, right? They're all that stuff. The one thing that's just holding this back, what the fuck is this voting? 5 total votes? 5? There is no way that it goes down to 5 after being like a 48 the other day. What in the world? 5? I'm sorry. How does that work? I don't even know who joined. Like, circle guy. Yellows or whatever, but it doesn't even work. Oh, Yo-Yo. No, Yo-Yo joined. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That's such a crazy thing. I don't understand the voting. So the challenge is to freaking re the challenge is to disable a bomb. By the way, I am enjoying how the intro is getting updated to reflect the new contestant, because Spicy Chips, of course, waved at the beginning, but now Yo-Yo is also included in the intro. So the intro is getting updated to match the two contestants. Everybody absolutely scrambles in to try to discover the bomb. They end up going on a big fight. I don't even know what's going on when Knife has returned back to being Omega Loud. The bomb ends up communicating with the bomb and gets the bomb to stop being a bomb, and then they shoot the bomb to stop them. I must admit that it was kind of a cool shot to see how to see like the Knife and the Yo-Yo like get beaten each other up. Like, you can see them both beaten up. Like, I think that's kind of cool, to be honest. I like that shot. But TNT is safe in the challenge about bombs. That makes perfect sense. That is one of the most logical wins I've ever seen in the show, to be honest. That makes perfect sense. But that means that we got these fellas up for elimination. By the way, this is a vote to eliminate rather than a vote to save. I don't know if that really gonna change anything, because again, these votes seem to be like stupidly rigged. I don't know what's going on with these votes, but they're completely whack. These votes are whack, bro. Like 1,000,000% whack out of whack. So, I mean, I'm still predicting Knife should be absolutely safe. Who's getting eliminated? I don't fucking know. I'm guessing Carpet that gets eliminated. Sure, why not? Let's go to episode 12 to find out what happens, I guess. That explosion miles away. Okay, I have just watched episode 12 of the hit series Trap, which has, for some reason, for only this episode, lost the exclamation marks. Oh well. I think the description of the playlist says what TRAP stands for. It apparently stands for timeliness, reality, authority, and purpose. I mean, I don't know what that means, but yeah. So our host here, Tayu, ends up getting dead for some reason because they slept under a table, which broke on them. Well, then we end up that like some twins, who you can tell they have one horn on each side of each one. Um, End up taking over as the hosting position. This is just a general theme of this episode, which I kind of find unfortunate. This is so hard to hear. This episode is doing the whole bad mic quality equals funny, because Knife, I don't really know what they're saying half the time. Yo-Yo, I don't know what they're saying half the time. These two hosts, they have such an unbelievable effect placed on the voice all the time that I don't know what they're saying. I'm not that good at like at catching speech in weird situations. So I think I'm one of the like weird types of people like that. But yeah, Knife eventually gets eliminated. You get like fucking how many votes? You got like 11 votes because these numbers make no sense. Knife gets eliminated with 5 because of whatever. How did we get 60 votes in one elimination? Like, what is this the normal number, or is this what normality is? And was the other things just weird? Because I'm confused. Because one of the elimination without Knife and it got 40 as well, and it was relatively split, like 15 to 23 or something. So it's like, what the fuck was going on? I genuinely like these eliminations have made no sense, but at least the show's fun. I do like the idea of having this duo. I especially like how one of them has the star eyes and stuff. The challenge is to fill up a pool. I generally don't know what half of the teams are trying to do. One of them is trying to fill up from the liquid that's like excluding the house that was built, because I don't know, Tayu is dirty. The other fellas are trying to find ocean that existed apparently in one of the challenges. The other fellas are just trying to like spit on it. I don't know. Eventually, the fellas that fill up that mega pool end up exploding because TNT is doing their classic thing. So like everybody dies except for Yo-Yo, which actually does manage to land on the other pool, which the bag used the ocean to get. So they end up having a battle. Yo-Yo gets absolutely cooked after putting in a little bit of a fight. To be fair, that was a relatively cool battle scene. We got to see a good number of angles and poses, which we don't see very often in a show like this. Especially like how the string from the Yo-Yo like separate itself for a little bit and try to punch back and stuff. So that's fun. But yeah, no, eventually the win and everybody else is up for elimination. The plant pot, the freaking carpet, the Yo-Yo, and the TNT. Eventually, at the end of it, our host wakes up because, of course, you can't lose the host for too many episodes. And then we'll have to see. But honestly, that episode was not one of my favorites. I'm gonna be honest. It was just kind of hard to hear. That's kind of what was going on with it. It was hard to understand. It was hard to hear. I'm not a big fan of when it's hard to hear. Like that's kind of the main thing that it's got going against it. Um, uh, Dude, there's two more episodes to get to in Trap before we have reached a modern age. Dude, I'm still trying to figure out what this means. Timeliness, reality, authority, and purpose. How many of those things are accurate? I don't know how many of those words are accurate in the title. I'm not even gonna lie. Bro, I don't know. Like, it's timeliness? Not really. There's sometimes been like 4 to 3 month gaps between episodes. Reality? I mean, it's not real. But like, yeah. Authority, I mean, I guess there's an authority. And purpose, what is the purpose? I don't I don't know about these words, to be honest. I mean, like, the purpose is to be a fun little object show, but like, I don't know what the purpose is like within the universe for the name. Whatever. Anyhow, episode 13 time. It is titled I Can't Believe It. Let's go. Hello, I have just watched episode 13 of Trap. I can't believe it. So, let's break it down. All right. So we have our fella here talking to us, Tayu, telling the co-host, yo, all right, y'all can have another go at it. So they are gonna, well, have another go at the whole hosting gig. Um, for some reason, which I don't know her name. I think the guy name's Cassie, but I don't know what her name is. Yo-Yo gets eliminated. Thank God. Votes are starting to make sense. The number is still fluctuating at very random intervals. I'm saying random intervals because like the amount of views isn't changing. Like the videos have been on this 200-ish view range for like 10 episodes now. Like it's not really changed that much, but the vote tally ends up fluctuating severely, and I'm like, bro, how is it doing that? But either way, Yo-Yo is eliminated with like 15 votes, only one more than the plant pot, which is kind of crazy. Then a challenge ends up being, well, to rebuild the thing, rebuild the table, which the fella was sleeping under. So I guess they can sleep under there again, and maybe return to the whole hosting gig. So that's all cool. Then fucking all hell breaks loose. So what happens is they find a hat. So Brett had the hat. Remember, Brett built the epic house, which Tayo got to stay in for about like one episode before it immediately became inhospitable. But yeah, that hat's there. So whoever has it has the capability of building it. So now they're just all fighting for it, and like half of them are just dying like 1 million times because the pots just have a hilariously bad ability to just live. So then the carpet ends up being the last one. They fight the TNT. The TNT eventually steals it from the carpet, but you can't shoot the TNT now, can you? Because everything is gonna explode, including the hat. So the TNT is kind of a very difficult way at it. Either way, after the carpet gets thrown dust on, they end up running away, and then there's nobody left until we have a revival. Her voice is not voice cracking anymore for some reason, but hey, at least he notices. Cassie or whatever. So yeah, we end up having everybody get shot until eventually the TNT is left alone without anybody else. Everybody else is dead, and they just get to build a table, relaxing while everybody else is up for elimination. Who's getting eliminated? I don't know. Yet again, I feel like we're not in normality, any type of voting normality still. I genuinely just don't understand these votes. But in a vote to eliminate setting, I don't know. Genuinely, it makes no sense. I'm predicting Plant Pot because I really got eliminated the other time, or like Pop Planet, whatever. Um, but yeah, let's see in the next episode, which is also the latest episode of the show. Indeed, it is titled "Trap 14: Demonophobia Nightmare 2." Isn't it Demonophobias, right? Because hold on, is it? Hold on, I actually want to check this. Insectophobe. Yeah, it's Insectophobe's Nightmare. Yeah, it's not like there's a S missing. Because here it's just kind of weird to say. Because you gotta say Demonophobia Nightmare. That's a Discord ping sound. I am very sorry. Um, that's because you gotta put the S. Because otherwise it's weird. Demonophobia Nightmare 2. Either way, I guess it's time for Demonophobia Nightmare 2. I'm saying Demonophobia Nightmare 2 a lot. Demonophobia Nightmare 2. Demonophobia Nightmare 2. Demonophobia Nightmare 2. All right, let's watch it and let's catch up ourselves with Trap with the current state of it. Let's go. So that was episode 14 of Trap, Demonophobia Nightmare 2. So we're getting to see my favorite little thing, which is the evil clones. You know what? We're using these evil clones. We have established that there are a shit ton of evil clones, and we are using quite a lot of evil clones. So you know what? That's fair. That's cool. First, we have ourselves an elimination where getting eliminated with 16 votes is the bag. So they're gone. Somehow, the carpet gets one vote out of like 28, which is a crazy ratio. Like yet again, you see these votes are these votes are goofy. I can see that because Carpet, I guess, got the most like impacted, so I can see them getting the least votes. But one is crazy. That is crazy. But anyways, Challenge is apparently survive the evil apocalypse or get the most kills in the process against all of the evil clones of all of the fellas. So they end up in the house and they together, combine a strategy. So Bro, after the dust, ended up going, I guess, half blind, and their eyes end up being blue lasers now, and the lasers managed to defeat the fellas, the evil clones. They managed to zap them away. So now we get a cool montage from the party pooper guy that's there now, um, of all of the fellas getting removed. I actually really enjoyed that montage because we got to see all of like the recommended characters get used as the way that they are, like to defeat each other. Like seeing the car get ridden or the brake like squish people because they're wall, right? Like that's just kind of cool, to be honest. Um, and then eventually everybody's gone except for evil Tayu, indeed, because Tayu got bitten and also became evil. Now, they try to dare invent a strategy, however, it's kind of too late. Tayu decides to unleash evil demonic beam from the sky, and all of them are dead. That means everybody is dead except for the party pooper, who decides to fight Tayu head on, and Tayu does in fact fight them until Party Pooper manages to spawn in Tayu, which ends up sucking up the evil version. But kind of okay. I mean, hold on a moment. So you telling me Tayu is capable of unleashing beams of like a evil light energy thing that exists from the sky, only to then proceed to like to not use any ability at all, and for some reason just fist fight the party guy until like what? No, you have abilities. Use your bloody abilities. I mean, not that I want the villain to win, but it's like why? It's like why? Why don't they win? Like if they're gonna lose, I want them to lose for a reason that makes sense. It's not just oh yeah, they didn't feel like using their thing. They got bored. Oh well, my bad. Oopsie. Like bro. But Tayu comes back. There's an extremely cool shot, by the way, of like Tayu with the left horn, right, only. But then the party hat on the party guy is like to the right. So then you end up sort of like it's an extremely satisfying shot. To be fair, this shot of like the poking out horn on Tayu and then the poking out hat on the party, making that sort of complete picture with the dust lines in the middle. It's an extremely symmetrical shot, and it is one of the top tier shots that I've seen as far as any of the shows is concerned. Like for a show like this shot is so incredibly smart. I'm giving this 9 million points out of 10. Okay. All right. Everybody's up for elimination. No, what? Sorry. So the challenge is survive or get the most kills. So everybody dies, all right? Sure. Nobody survives the evil invasion. Okay, so that means that you gotta go to the next system. No, you created a second system. So what's the second system? Second system is most kills. Who got the most kills? Obviously, it was the carpet. Carpet got the most kills because they shot like half the world, right? So how are they up for elimination? They got the most kills. I understand that they all died, but like surely the tiebreaker, if they all die to have a challenge winner, is the most kills, though. Like I understand, like if multiple people were alive, you'd use that tiebreaker, and if multiple people were dead, you use that tiebreaker. Right, like surely, like there gotta be a tiebreaker. What do you mean everybody's up for either? I think that's bullshit. I don't know if the carpet's gonna survive. I think in a vote to save, I would personally vote for them to stay. Even though I don't know if voting's over, to be honest. Considering, yeah. But it's vote to save again. I don't know, but a carpet should absolutely have been just safe. Like should have just won the challenge. They are what got these guys to even begin to survive in the evil invasion. Like the fact that they're not is crazy. And I do want to see the Tayu chess match with the party guy. I do want to see it. I want to see it analyzed by Gotham Chess. We got to see the biggest analysis, the biggest chess game of the year. It's a must. Sometimes we just gotta see it. Um, And yeah, honestly, I have been trying to debate if Tayu is like generally just a related character to Izuni, because I have seen the creative ODA in the comment section of these trap videos. So maybe they're like one of them is inspired, like this is inspired from Object Dissension, or like they're just like the same. They're, I don't know. I don't know if they're related, and I don't know if they've ever interacted. I hope they interact sometime, and whether it's in like a skit or whatever. I hope they eventually interact, the Tayu and Izuni, because that'd be fun, you know. And fun is what we like. I am a fan of fun. All right. Um, but yeah, overall, my opinion on Trap is it's pretty good animationally. However, depending on the episode, it sometimes focuses a little bit. It sometimes is a little bit hard to follow. Voting on this show has never made sense. The voting numbers fluctuate immensely from episode to episode, and like they go from like 60 to 40 to 10 to 30, then back down to 20, then back up to 40. Like they don't make any sense. Which just like when the voting count is so unbelievably inconsistent, it just gives me like it just gives off the wrong vibe. You know, like even if it's like, oh, everything's perfectly fine, it's that way. Why? You know, something's going weird because nothing suggests that the voting counts are being extremely different from episode to episode. But I understand that the voting time between episodes could be different because at the end of every episode it just says voting ends when I feel like it. But like if you feel like ending it sometimes after 5 votes and sometimes after 60, like it's just gonna be it doesn't strike me a lot of confidence that these votes are representative, you know, when they're so fluctuating. Because like hold on, like what um but yeah, other than that, animation's pretty cool. Writing, again, it depends on the episode. Some episodes are pretty cool. Like episode 12, not a big fan, but like some other episodes, like this episode, I was quite a fan. Like it kind of depends, you know, from episode to episode, which one I think is good, which one I think is less good. To be honest, like I think it's a little bit of an inconsistent show, I'm gonna say, and I think it sometimes does rely a little bit too much on having a character that just speaks loud, like Yo-Yo or like a Knife or like whatever. Like I don't understand them. They have bad mic, but like I don't know. It's not that funny. Like you get it after one time, you get it, but I don't know what they're saying. So like, you know, I can't understand the jokes if I can't understand them, right? So it's like, yeah. Um, but I think that's all I can really say here about Demonophobia Nightmare 2 and about Trap. It's pretty cool. It's very different style of Hotel Object. I can't even lie. Like, just they're completely different vibes of show. Which one do I prefer? I probably this I think is more clear cut of a Hotel Object that I feel like is the animation of Hotel Object is honestly pretty good. To be honest, like especially assets and stuff and all that, they're actually quite solid. But yeah, and I also think the thumbnails for Hotel Object are insanely good. But yeah, but this is solid. This is cool. I hope there's a collab with ODA someday. And yeah, I think that's all I can say. Let's go next. Alrighty then. The next thing that we're going to be watching, well, we're going to be going back to our one and only QuackerStacker, which has been making BFBD, which we have watched 1 to 2 a couple of weeks ago, and then 3 and 4 last week. I believe the final 2 episodes, 5 and 6, have dropped it both 1 week ago and 5 days ago, respectively, 7 and 5. And of course, as I have been following a BFBD all throughout and it's got consistent episode releases, we will be following this journey as well. Alright, so let's keep it moving. Let's start off here by watching BFBD 5 titled Chomped. Let's go. Alright, so that was BFBD 5, a Chomped. So, the challenge is to fight to that first person to die, get out. I was immediately worried because I knew you can't, don't die in this challenge. You're gonna destroy everything. You know, like don't explode. It's gonna be a GG. It's gonna be over. It's gonna be the end of the road. You know that like It's gonna be the end. The show just ends right there, no winner. So Nuke has to stay. They managed to eventually, well, not necessarily convince them, but Takoyaki's going like, "Yo, great team up, boys." And then Nuke's like, "No, Gray, this isn't you. I don't even." Takoyaki's just being doing the whole thing. I'm gonna be fair. Takoyaki's not very nonchalant. Actually, they're not a nonchalant character. They're very not nonchalant. Actually, but yeah, it's nice to have an episode that's a bit more interaction based, rather like where the characters are interacting in the show. And in the show, the amount of time that the characters interact is actually very little. But here it's cool to see. Gray just admits, yo, I wasn't doing anything. So then they just eat takoyaki, or at least half of them, and then takoyaki goes no, and then dies, and then that means that they're out. So no, takoyaki, don't do that. Look, takoyaki, in my opinion, was kind of the goat of the show because they kind of represented the humor of the show in a way. And were cool. So I kind of hope that they were gonna win. However, now we got Nuke and Gray. However, if I'm not mistaken, Bunneh in the episode where they got eliminated stated that they will specifically make sure that Nuke doesn't win. So it's not looking good. And Gray does seem to be the titular character of the show. To be honest, they've appeared in the last two thumbnails. Well, Takoyaki appeared in the other ones. You know, Takoyaki or Gray. It was some of the main characters. Time for the finale. Time for the finale of BFBD. It is called Bunneh's Epic Revenge. In fact, I do remember. Let's watch it and let's talk about it. And there we have it. The finale of BFBD. Battle for BBL Drizzy. Now, I don't know if that's what it is because the prize is just a picture of Drake. So that's something, I guess. Um, but okay then. So as we can see, Gray doesn't care. Gray doesn't take steps. Gray doesn't do any of that stuff. They're just like, no, go take it. And then it was like, okay. So they're gonna take it, but then Bunneh appears and it goes like, I'm not gonna let you win. So then they land a perfect throw onto the fella who, I mean, is right there. They literally cannot refuse to get it. So, like, Gray isn't a person that just isn't going to win. They're a person that isn't going to try to win. But I mean, if the win is right there, they might as well win. No, so yeah. Apparently their heart grew 3 times larger. Don't know why, but yeah, there's a recommended character there. And then we end up ending the season. So good job, Gray. You don't, yeah, I mean, you represent nothing because you know that's your point. You're supposed to not care, to be nonchalant. It's kind of interesting to see an object show where the character that doesn't try at all actually wins. Because usually the character that doesn't try at all gets eliminated immediately. But usually that's for good reason. So Gray doesn't strike me as like the best winner in the world, but it is a unique winner. Most obviously don't have a winner like this, so you know, sure. And it is a joke show. Apparently, we can recommend the characters for season 2, which I can do, I guess. To be honest, um, let's see, BFBD season 2. Okay, hear me out. All right. I'm gonna do this live because it's gonna be the greatest character ever, right? So we're gonna Google Jack Harlow, okay? Then we're gonna find the exact image used in BFBD, all right, which is the YouTube thumbnail. Okay, YouTube. All right, there we go. Then we save image as Jack Harlow. We're gonna name it Hack Jarlow, okay? So that's Hack Jarlow. Now we're gonna be going into the submission form, all right? Submission form, and here in the submission form, we're gonna be type my name Eternal2. Then down here, name of the character Hack Jarlow. Okay, Hack Jarlow, the one and only, the big one, the big dog. And now here we're gonna drag in. All right, okay, Google Drive. We're gonna drag in our image of Hack Jarlow right here, the inverted image of Jack Harlow that we have just got. Oh yeah, I forgot to invert it. Shit. Hold on. I just saved the image as Hack Jarlow, but no, I need to invert the image of Jack Harlow as Jack Harlow. Hold on, Hack Jarlow, invert, there we go. And this one we save a Hack Jarlow, and then the other one I delete. Okay, Hack Jarlow, drag it in, send. All right, epic. We have officially submitted Hack Jarlow to the thing. I'm hoping that Hack Jarlo makes it to season 2, the greatest recommended character of all time. All right. Well, that's BFBD. It's relatively fun to watch, to be honest. It's 6 minutes long, so it's not a very long thing. Do I recommend it? I mean, I guess. Why not? Why not watch it? Like, the jokes that it makes aren't dumb. It's not a loud joke show. That's what I like about this joke show. Not loud. You know, a lot of joke shows just decide, haha, loud. But this one isn't loud. So it's actually relatively, like, it's cool to watch. You know, it makes jokes. It's relatively chill, but it's not loud. So, yeah, I don't mind watching at all. So it was pretty enjoyable. Next. Next up, we are going to be watching Silly Saturday Scontest, which is a show which has released its episode right as I was going to watch Magnificent Madness, of course, which means that we're going to be keeping up and watching the Silly Saturday Scontest as well. Before that, a little bit of a quick message. I am so far choosing to ignore and not watch the Introly Object show, which is made by Tiered, which theoretically means that, well, I should be covered. Why? Because, you know, I haven't watched the intros which the show arrives from, right? Which means that currently my decision is to not watch it because I wouldn't really get it, you know? It would spoil me. I wouldn't really get it that much, and it would just not be great, I think. So we're skipping the Introly Object show for now. I'll probably watch it maybe eventually, but not right now. Look good? Okay. Let's watch the Silly Saturday Scontest created by Balloon Animations. Let's go. Alright, I just watched the Silly Saturday Scontest 1. Damn, bro, that looked like it hurt. that hit at the end. Damn, bro, that was crazy. So here we have a pretty interesting set of contestants. So we have a bunch of aliens. They're sort of a depressed little glue, like flying blue goop fella. There's a purple gloop fella that's on the ground like a puddle that only speaks in like water gargles. To be fair, to the voice acting, there's some pretty good gargles, which is a weird thing to say, but yeah, we have just a little stick figure fella. We have yeah, they're called Steven, and apparently there's a Rocky. The alien fella's got a get which is a great name. I love that name. Yeah, Ink. Okay, that's what you're called. Water, Planty, which is like 8 people in one. I know I say I like characters that are multiple characters. Like, holy shit. Whistle, we got an upside down flip horizontally thing, star balloon, and a chair, which crashes into the intro, which I think is quite nice. And then the S appearing to make a Silly Saturday Scontest, making it SSS instead of SSC, which is pretty fun. So, yeah, they form teams. The weird alien puddles end up being together. A chair and star balloon. I find it interesting so that the star balloon doesn't fly away. It's actually how we're like following physics here, right? Because like so that the star balloon doesn't escape, it's attached to the chair, which I think is pretty interesting. So then Steven teamed up with them, and then the final team is of the plant and the whistle and the rock end up being 4 people. So first, the first team ended up being pretty safe, launching the gloop glorp, which was pretty smart. The other team doesn't do that. The last team, apparently called like the weirdos, doesn't do that, which is a problem because you know they don't get as far as gloop. So I don't know. The other team ends up using the chair. The chair ends up rolling itself around quite a lot. But however, Steven manages to leap away and gain the extra meters required to not lose. However, they, you know, freaking their face slides on the pavement. They're all dying. They want ice. The ice fucking destroys them. Like holy fuck. And yeah, for the life of me, I don't understand these voting numbers. AWR and Planty. What? That is such a what? Huh? Why not? If you're gonna do that, just make A, W, R, and P. Why Planty? It's just Planty, but the others aren't. Anyways, it's a pretty impossible elimination to really predict because everybody is kind of just on their own. I think Whistle should be safe because they just kind of look cool. I would probably eliminate the Rocky because, it just kind of. It's the laziest one of them all because it's just taking a Rocky acid flip and adding an additional set of limbs that don't really matter to them. So, yeah, that would probably be my prediction. But yeah, what I think of the show, it's pretty okay. The drawings, I think they maybe suffer sometimes for having like a brush size that's a bit too large, but especially on like faces, sometimes the brush size feels like it's too large. Make them smaller. But in the sum up, but it's just style, so I don't judge it too harshly. Meanwhile, in other cases, I would probably this show it takes advantage of what this of Balloon Animations' main strength, which is the capability of making these more interesting movements and animation using flip a clip here. So we're able to see the chair spinning, and it's not really hard to do because it's an asset. It's not asset. It's hand drawn. So we're capable of taking these to the advantage, right? Same thing goes with like Steven, like jumping off from the thing, right? Like you can from the chair and getting the leap, like it's that type of detail that you can only get with this type of animation, which is nice, and it does give a little bit of fresh air compared to some other shows where a character just has to stand there but they can't really move that much, so it's a nice little thing, and I think it's what makes this a Magnificent Man. It's definitely unique to watch in a sense. But yeah, my personal thing is, yeah, I just make faces like whenever a character is small and stuff, I'd maybe lower the brush size because it just makes it, well, it makes it look a little bit sillier. It makes it look a bit less professional because it just feels like there's too much, too much. But yeah, that's all. That's the Silly Saturday Scontest. I wonder if there's an episode every Saturday. Did the last one release on Saturdays 4 days ago? No, that was a Monday. So I guess it doesn't release on Saturday. It releases sometime. Um, but oh well. Let's go to the next. Alright, next up, we will be going to Tales of Odilon. Tales of Odilon, also known as SOS-bfv, which we already looked at around a week ago because of their object show titled Hat Time. So we did, in fact, take a look at that. However, just about 5 to 6 days after, they have dropped another object show with their episode 1. It is significantly longer than Hat Time, actually. It is 8 minutes long. Yet again, an excellent thumbnail. The video is called Cosmic Cyclone 1. There is no host. Probably inspired by the GD level Cosmic Cyclone because they do play GD and Circles levels. So I guess we'll have to see. Let's watch it and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I've just come back from watching the first episode of Cosmic Cyclone. Well, currently the only episode of Cosmic Cyclone. So honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised because when I watched the other show, Hat Time, I found it to be a little bit confusing, a little bit lost, to be honest. It had some interesting animation, but it kind of didn't make much sense. However, this was very pleasant. I can't lie, it was pretty nice. It was pretty good. Um, and it was an entertaining watch where I understood the characters, their personalities, how they're written, and all of the above. I've been understanding the characters have different voices and everything, which is it's pretty cool. I can't lie. So we have a Bosnia here, which is a character. On both teams, we actually have a little bit of a guardian figure because we have this pot which holds a sort of the parental figure to this water balloon, who is a 13-year-old, very tiny, very very tiny, minuscule water balloon. Who is 13 but acts like about 8. And then on the other team, we have the tissue paper box. Which acts as like, I guess, like a guardian, kind of controller to the Ice Cream, because Ice Cream is a very death focused character, giving me vibes of the Heartbreaker from ODA. It's giving me those vibes. That character who's just like, yep, yo, you know what we should do? We should murder. And I got a bunch of other characters and stuff as well. Some of them, of course, don't have too much to do in the episode, but yeah, we see Baseball, who apparently learned Spanish. We have a pretty I don't even know what this thing is. Like a tie. Oh, it's a tie. Okay. Um. So they end up being pretty. They're pretty happy. They're, I guess, a happier character. Then oh yeah, they try to flirt with the girl group, but then Dice just freaking uses laser eyes, which I guess that's fair to why you would have the special eyes. I like it because it's kind of like it's a dice, and it's kind of like, the faces of the die. The circles on it. It's like the two, so it ends up working properly. Then we have a flower hosting machine from 1993 is there and will host an object show. Indeed, the Flower Personal Hosting Computer version 1993 is going to host the show. I like a water balloons comes out. You got games on your computer, bro. Um, and then they eventually formed the teams at random. Random. Again, we love the random that's not really that random, you know? Like, oh wow, you telling me that like half of the pairings that were already there before anybody formed team just so happened to stick together? Like, okay. Um, one of the team ended up being called Red Food Coloring, according to a random name generator. While the other team ended up being called a Picture Perfect. So, Team Red Food Coloring, Chainsaw, another murdery character. I guess that's what they are. I mean, a chainsaw doesn't have to murder people, but like, they're a very danger character, and they have a short temper, so they will lash out. And in this episode, there were like 3 people. Then there's the light switch that's sort of, I guess it's more the meaner attitude. Pot is kind of just very concerned for the water balloon. And in the meanwhile, there's Baseball, who I think is a Shire character. And there's I guess the Scone, I don't, fella, which I don't know too much about. On the other team, like there was a bunch of Bosnian, but I couldn't. I'm really trying to describe Bosnian anyway. Yeah, as you can see, the dice seems to have some powers and stuff. To be honest, which is pretty interesting. The glazed honey, don't know about that. Don't know about them, to be honest. The glazed donut, don't really know much about them, to be honest. So then, they decide, while trolling, Light Switch decides to make Water Balloon the team captain. Everybody just goes along with it because they don't, like, there's no proper mind on that team, to be honest, because the freaking, bro, you're not a cone, but I'll call you a cone because I don't remember your name. In baseball, they just got like no brain. Chainsaw just murder, and Pot is just too worried to care. Um, I mean, on the other team, I have no idea. I find it an interesting pose how the tie is like resting on Bosnia in a way, because Bosnia does have a very interesting shape because of being Bosnia. There's also a line about the coastal town, which is interesting as well, because like you're like a silhouette of Bosnia, I guess. Like, how did that work? How did that work? Like, are you physically all of Bosnia? Like, there's people living within, or is there's just an outline of Bosnia? But then you wouldn't, whatever. Then the challenge is about no. The challenge is to build a co-host. Okay, build a robot co-host. You have 6 minutes to build a robot. I'm sorry, what the hell are we doing? 6 minutes to do the challenge is hilariously low. Like the team of Water Balloon just drew a face on a paper. They'll say, "Yo, let's submit this paper as the co-host." To be fair, it's not a good idea because, like, of course, it's not a robot, so it wouldn't be good. However, to be 100% fair here to Mr. Water Balloon, there is no other option than submitting something that looks like a person that isn't. Because, like, it's not, dude, you can't build a robot in 6 minutes. That's just impossible. You don't have any of the materials to build a robot with you, even. Like, even if you had everything right there, you just cannot build a robot in 6 minutes. But, like, you tell me that the entire team would have to fetch out the materials to make a robot, design the robot, build the robot, and do everything in 6 minutes? That's impossible. So, the fact that the Water Balloon kid, even on accident, finds the best plan, because the best plan is absolutely to do something that like something DIY that could technically be classified as a co-host because it has a face and is an object, but is it like properly alive? Because you got to take it. Doing it with a piece of paper is fine, to be honest. So that team has a good idea. The other team, Ice Cream, has the idea where, well, if they're not alive, if the other team's dead, they cannot win. They'll lose the challenge because they can't submit anything. Technically correct. However, the problem is that if you don't have anything either, you don't win. Like, you lose the challenge not because you don't have anything. You lose the challenge if you have less than the other team. That makes sense. But in this case, this idea doesn't work because sure you can murder the other team, I guess. In this case it's allowed because they'll get revived. But like you won't be capable of doing better than them. So like even that the maximum that can happen is they all die, but you still ended up doing nothing, so you tie. Right? Which doesn't make sense. So that idea is pretty tough. Somehow everyone else agrees, except Ty, I think. But Ty gets, to be honest. Yeah, everybody just agrees. I do like the one thing I always like in object shows is when the little like speech bubble pops up from the side with the shape of the character. I really like how this show does that quite a bit. I always find that enjoyable, to be honest. I find it cute with the eyes and the way they look and stuff. Eventually they decided to steal the paper as well, which you see, that makes something. If you can murder them all and steal their item, what they've built, that makes sense. First of all, I don't know how they're doing that in 6 minutes. They do that pretty remarkably quickly. But yeah, they end up doing that. And then challenge over. Also, I found the scene hilarious of paper tissue not wanting to drop down baseball, killing them, but it's like it's like a 1 foot drop. It's like baseball fucking bounces off of that height. What are you doing? Like, nah, you just fucking beep. Like, it's fucking 1 centimeter. It's like a 1 centimeter drop. Like, what are you doing? 1 centimeter. Come on. I have the thumbnail shot. We end up saying it for like 1 minute. One criticism I'm gonna say is sometimes it feels like we are improving a bit. I can't lie. Like, it gives me vibes of improv. Some of scenes, like when a character is laughing for significantly longer than I feel it realistically should, and all that jazz. So it's like, I don't know. But eventually it ends up being fine. Then people successfully bring ice cream as the host of Flower Machine hosting machine 1993 ends up disqualifying their team because you can't murder the competition. Know how that works? Like bruh. So yeah, but eventually the other team ends up getting submitting the paper anyways because the stolen paper. And look, it's better than nothing. So you see what I mean? It's better than nothing that the other team got, which means that water balloon wins. And I feel like this would be true either way. This would be true anyways because the other team just didn't have anything. They didn't have anything to submit, which means that they would have just lost. So water balloon somehow gets away with one here. And wins the challenge. The other team is up for elimination. Very good here, elimination panels. Really enjoy how they look, especially Bosnia. Bosnia looks so goofy. I mean, this theoretically is one of the most obvious eliminations possible. Eliminate ice cream. What the hell are you doing? There is an interesting dynamic with ice cream and the tissue box, but like in this challenge, they threw because of ice cream. The other ones didn't really get to suggest an idea. They didn't have to many ideas, but they didn't even get to suggest it. And the ideas they did suggest of stealing the prize, of stealing the other team, right, so that they can submit it themselves, it works way better than just murdering the other team and then you make a tie. So the other team members had ideas that I think were pretty positive. So they were doing pretty good. However, this ice cream cannot stay. You cannot stay. If you stay, something is off. Like, something is off the map. Don't understand it, because how would that be possible? But the prize, it can realistically go to anybody. Like, even if there's like enough Bosnians looking, then like it's it's just pretty pretty good, you know. But we'll have to see. But it's definitely Ice Cream gets eliminated. But this show, pretty impressed by it. It's very watchable. Had time I had kind of problem watching it, but this show is very watchable. It's honestly wasn't. I didn't mind it at all. It went by quickly. I understood what was going on, which is pretty difficult to do in an episode one. In episode ones of even big shows, I sometimes don't know what's going on. In this one, I did. It was pretty clear. I see the characters. I see what they're doing. We had a focus here in this episode, but some characters set to the sideline. They're appearing in other episodes, and yeah, it's just overall pretty good. Don't know why the name is Cosmic Cyclone. I understand that it's a pretty cool GD level, but Cosmic Cyclone, you gotta make it make sense now. But we don't have an intro. I think an intro eventually gets uploaded separately because it ended up being done. Um, so yeah, it was pretty good. And I will make sure to take a look at the future episodes, because I want to see more of the Flower personal hosting computer version 1993. And yeah, that's all I think I've got to say about the Cosmic Cyclone. What is a Cosmic Cyclone? Because that's just words. When people name GD, like what is it? A Cosmic Cyclone. What is a Cosmic Cyclone? It's like nothing. It's just it's a nebulous storm born from a black hole. What does that mean? Okay, whatever. Okay, I understand why you didn't make it themed after a cosmic cyclone, because what the hell is that? Oh, whatever. That's all I'm about to say. Next. Alright, next up, we're going to be taking a look back at Winter VR. So Winter VR, we covered a couple of weeks ago because we watched the first episode of Hallo-Trinkets, which released about 3 weeks ago, and we covered, I think, roughly around that time. It's one of the early things that we covered, to be honest. Since then, there have been 2 episodes, one of which is a short, and the other which is a 3-minuter. To have released in the past a couple of days. Now, in the original time I watched it, I didn't watch Trinket Trouble, which is the series that this was inspired from. But ever since, I have watched Trinket Trouble rather recently, so we're more properly, I guess, informed on what this series is based on directly. Well, it's time for episode 2 and episode 3. Let's watch episode 2 first, because it's really short. It's literally a short. Let's go. Bro, what? Okay, so this video is specifically stated as being canon. Like, this video is specifically stated as being a canonical video that matters. But then it's like this. What in the world? It's just like a dance. It's a back and forth. The limbs aren't even moving. You're just taking the asset and rotating it every couple of times. And it's like, what? It's a recording. My presumption about what this is this is maybe a video that's gonna be used in the next video. It's like, oh shit, look at the TikTok the Heirloom did, and it's like, wait, what? But like, we don't need to. You don't need it as its own custom upload. That's an episode. Like, it's just like, nah, come on. And then it makes it weird when you're looking at the main channel because it's a short and not a video. So if you look at this, the videos tab is gonna go from 1 to 3. Not a good idea to make this an episode, but oh well. Let's go to episode 3, which should be an actual episode. A beautiful flower. Let's go. Hello. So I've just finished watching Hallo-Trinkets 3. I'm gonna say Hallo because Hallo is hello, and like the way that it's written is like in German. Hallo, but even it probably means Halo Trinkets because in the intro itself is called Halo Trinkets. So now you see it's interesting to watch this now that I have watched the main video, like the Trinket Trouble, which is what this is based on. So that is like, I'm pretty, surprised by that. By how similar, like, uses the same song and everything, the intro. I think the main critique that I can give this show, in general, now that we've watched a bit more multiple of it, is just that the animation for this show is fine. But the problem with it is that it just feels sluggish. Because whenever anything happens, it's just at a pretty random speed. You know? Like, it feels like the show is stuttering. Like, look at the intro, for example. You see how, in the intro, right? The screen fades out from Moonpack Heirloom. You see how it fades out at an inconsistent speed. It feels like a loading screen that's like jumping in and out based on how much it's loading at a time, right? Or like how the sky in that Moonpack Heirloom section, you see it was moving, it moves at inconsistent intervals when it does move. Because the poses that they make and the stuff that they do is fine, but it's just it moves at such an inconsistent interval that it makes it feel like a sluggish animation. You know, there's also a little bit of a problem. Don't put white text on a bright background because you can't read it. All right, that's a problem both in the intro, in like half of the text because it's a white gray, because it's a light gray text on top of gray text. um, and in general, it's just kind of that the way that the characters like move just simply cause an air of inconsistency, like how Soul Sword leaves or memory, like I'm just looking at this moment how when like the memory locket flips around, it's so sluggish. It's so sluggish, you know? Like if it moved at the same speed every frame, that's fine, but it doesn't move at the same speed every frame. It moves at like a random speed. It's just it's kind of it's kind of just weird. Anyway, the challenge is to get a flower, and get a flower they do. Moonpack Heirloom, I believe, ends up just digging up and finding a flower in the ground, which is fair. They do seem to be the chill type character who sits down and everything. That's how they are in episode 1. Meanwhile, Soul Sword ends up thinking of the blossoming flower to be able to give to the challenge. For some reason, they blush at the thought of it. Maybe there's a little crush going on, but they eventually drag them over like a king, and also end up being safe, which means that Memory Locket, which tried to paint themselves like Dandy to make it look like a flower, didn't quite work out in time. And the freaking ghost snakes in a can just aren't present in this episode. That's a big issue. That's a big, big issue. Like, this is the type of challenge where, you gotta show everyone trying it, you know? Because what matters is less. Because one of the things that I think is the most that you have to keep in mind, right? Is that the thing that actually matters most in an episode is not showing who's safe. Because that is cool, but it's not information that actively matters to you. What matters is showing who is going to go up for Elam. The best is showing both, but that can increase the runtime, right? Showing, I don't know, Soul Sword have the idea and then do it is cool. However, we don't do much with that information. If we saw, for example, the way that Memory Locket invented the idea, then we can consider, is that elimination worthy? Is that not elimination worthy? But if you don't see anything, we can't do. And what was the snakes doing this time? Like what was happening? I don't know. So like it's just that thing. I don't know. Like we need to see what they're doing, because otherwise they're just gonna disappear slowly. Like and presumably they're gonna get eliminated because why they didn't do anything? They wouldn't appear in the episode. They gotta appear in the episode. You can't just not show them. It doesn't work. Like that's the thing that I'm getting confused about here. It's oh well. Yeah, there's not much I could really say here, but I guess I consider it rather unfortunate, TBH, because yeah. But that's my main tips heading into future episodes. Focus on showing every character attempt the challenge. If it takes longer, it takes longer, but it's what needs to be done. I think having an episode where an entire character just isn't there for no reason is just pretty bad, It hinders the quality of your show. That's just how it goes. And the animation thing, if you can keep it like that, absolutely. It's just a comment. That one's just a comment, but I think that the writing absolutely gotta fix it. Gotta show more of the people that are getting up for elimination, because no way that Memory Locket and Ghost Snakes in a Can are up for elimination, and at the same time, they're also just the two characters that got the least screen time. Like, bro, huh? Whatever. That's all. Next. Next up, we are going to be watching another episode of the 22ndly Object Show, because the 22ndly Object Show is in fact back with episode 6 after the three-parter episode 5, where we ended up having Steven and Blockloon up for elimination as Pie Holder managed to win alongside Win Token. So let's see who is going to be safe and what's gonna episode 6 be. Remember, it's 20 seconds, pretty fast. Alright, that was a pretty chaotic 20 seconds. So unfortunately, Blockloon, the best design of all time, ends up getting eliminated. I must say they never really did that much with the concept though. Like, Blockloon is an interesting concept. There's two characters right there. Why does the balloon part of Blockloon never speak? Like, it's interesting. Like, make them bigger or something, from time to time. Like, come on. But yeah, Steven is safe. Challenges too. Throw the rock the furthest. Everyone has a rock. Win Token and Steven are going to throw the rock until Pie Holder crashes into the proper NFL style tackle. And then they drop the rocks, which technically means that they threw them. I understand what the reasoning is, and it is the type of technicality that I do enjoy. However, I'm going to complain about the factoid that they weren't holding the rocks up. They weren't in the animation. They weren't. We forgot to actually make Win Token and Wise even hold the rocks, and like until they actually touch the rocks, they doesn't count. Like, they didn't drop it because they never held it. You should have animated them holding it, and then everything makes perfect sense. But you didn't, so technically they could have still thrown it. Like, Pie Holder wasn't holding it, and then they threw it, and then they won. Like, that makes sense. Anyways, Pie Holder is absolutely playing to win, and I do like a character that plays to win. Yet again, I want some White Steven eliminated. Let's hope for the best here. And yeah, there's not too much logic why I want White Steven eliminated. They just don't really like him. That's all I can really say about this. 22ndly Object Show. We got a secondly segment on it. Yay! Next. And then the final thing that we're going to be taking a look at today is, well, surprisingly enough, another release from MintyInTown, which had apparently a random car ramble, and uploaded it as Noah, which is the little freaking deodorant from Nolla, from the Nolla short film. And you know what? Yet again, there is so little Nolla that we're probably going to ever talk about, considering I'm doubting that this has consistent releases, that when it does, we'll talk about it. So let's watch it. Let's talk about it. All right, that was that. I mean, I don't know how to really take a look at this, but I mean, again, I felt like kind of talking about it because, like, why not? I guess again, there's not going to be much Nolla content in the world, so take advantage of the ones that you got. So this is like just like Nolla in a sense. Even within this, you can kind of. I mean, it's a relatively simpler animation because it's a one-angle shot. I mean, of course, Noah's moving around pretty faithfully and stuff, and the car's shaking and all that stuff. But it's relatively solid. In the terms of like just the way that it flows, because one of the things about Nolla is that those conversations flowed extremely smoothly. They felt like real, and I think that was one of the special things about it. So even in something like this, right, the way of making it improv helps out this specific situation quite a bit, because it's an improv situation, it's that type of situation that doesn't necessarily need to be scripted, because you would have to script the blips to it, right? So if this is a situation that welcomes in the improv, and the improv welcomes in a good performance that feels honest, despite the fact that, it's not technically a real event, it's like, it's still cool because like there's this idea, but the specific words that are said are new, right? With the take, which means that it doesn't feel as scripted, and it does in fact work even for this little, for fun skit here. And Noah is the best design ever invented. I know, I think I've said that today like 4 times. No, no. I like to say that designs are good. Okay, I like to praise design. Maybe not the best ever invented, but like they're good. All right. Okay. Um, but yeah, I definitely am an enjoyer, and yeah, that's all I've got to say. Good usage of improv. Animation is, I mean, clean considering its one-shot nature. It's a pretty good shot as well. And yeah, I mean, look, I know there ain't gonna be much Nolla stuff, but if there's ever any of these silly ideas, I don't mind it. I would like to see the pill and like that little family. I think that they were cute. I like to see a short with them. I can't lie, hearing them speak would be fun. But other than that, I mean, just do what you want. This has already got 4,000 views. Damn, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, cool improv. That's all for, well, I think today. And with that, that is going to be all for today's Object Catch Up. There's a few other shows from show creators that we do have to get to. However, they are relatively long. It's either multi-season or just take like over half an hour, which would make another Omega episode, and I'm currently going to relax on that. Today was another day where I kind of got interrupted quite a bit. I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of these segments had random splits, especially over there in the middle of the trap section. I think one of the trap segments was split into like 3 or 4 because I just couldn't I couldn't be speaking for a bit because I always had to do something. So they're pretty chill. But we cover those. But tomorrow we will cover those alongside other stuff. I have it planned out. But yeah, we gotta get some new shows as well because I've sort of neglected them for the past 3 days, like the actual new releases. So yeah, I mean the release from the day, they are new and we were covering them, but they aren't the new releases in the proper sense. So yeah, today another little relaxed video. We're sort of picking. I think I like to say though, we're picking the pace back up a little bit because we sort of like we definitely maximized it on the request revelations. Then you got to bring it back to ground floor, and now we're rising up from the ground floor, and we should be back, more properly in the next few days. Although I do got some stuff to do. I don't know. These days, I've been having stuff to do. But either way, we're getting stuff out there and we're watching shows, which is what matters the most. Indeed, look at that rhyme scheme. For the creators, which we covered today, we're all caught up, and see you next time.